People always say that you remember the moment your life changes. For me, that moment wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even shocking. It was a whisper. People like you are disposable, Rebecca. I heard it behind a half-closed office door. The voice of my boss, Mr. Callahan, a man who smiled like a friend but ruled like a king. He didn't know I stood in the hallway, frozen. He didn't know those words would stay in my head like a scar. Disposable. As if I didn't matter. As if years of work, late nights, and sacrifice were nothing. I walked away quietly, but something inside me cracked open. It wasn't anger, not yet. It was realization. I finally understood how these people saw me. How they saw everyone who didn't have their money, their power, their last names. But I wasn't ready to fight back. Not then. I needed to observe. To listen. To disappear into the background they thought I belonged in. 'Cause people talk when they think you're nobody. And in that silence, I found my first clue. A conversation about the shipment. Coded transfer. A name I wasn't supposed to hear. I didn't know what any of it meant yet. But I knew one thing. If I was disposable, then so were the rules they lived by. This was the beginning. And they had no idea. That night I didn't sleep. I lay awake replaying every moment from the office, every fake smile they'd given me, every time they'd brushed off my ideas and stolen my credit. It wasn't just one insult. It was years of being stepped on. But there's something dangerous about a quiet person who finally wakes up. At 3:14 a.m. I got out of bed, opened my laptop and began digging. I had access to more than they realized. They'd trusted me with files because I was harmless. They'd let me overhear things because I was invisible. They underestimated me so much it almost felt insulting. Until it became useful. And oh, it became very useful. The first file I opened was labeled Project Silverline. I expected a boring business plan. Instead, I found bank accounts. Movements of money that didn't make sense. Transfers to fake companies. Transactions split into small parts to avoid attention. This wasn't normal business. This was something darker. My hands trembled. Not from fear but excitement. If this was what I thought it was, I had stumbled into a door I was never meant to open. But I didn't stop. The deeper I went, the stranger it got. Calls at odd hours. Meetings in places that didn't match any office calendar. And one file that had clearly been hidden inside another. Courier 17. Had a date. Time. And a location. An abandoned warehouse near the highway. I didn't know what they were moving yet. But I knew I had to be there. If they thought I was disposable, I would make myself unforgettable. The warehouse smelled like rust and cold metal. Shadows stretched across the concrete floor, cut only by thin slices of moonlight slipping through broken windows. I hid behind a stacked pile of crates, forcing myself to breathe slowly. I couldn't risk being seen. At exactly 2 a.m., headlights flashed across the entrance. Black SUV rolled in. Then another. And another. They weren't alone. Men stepped out, hard faces, expensive watches, the kind of people who didn't fear consequences. Mr. Callahan was with them. His voice loud and sharp. "This shipment costs more than your lives," he said. "One mistake and we're done." My heart hammered. If anyone found me, I knew what would happen. But fear didn't stop me. I took out my phone and recorded everything. Voices, faces, license plates. Proof. Then I saw the crates. They weren't filled with machinery or supplies like I expected. They were filled with cash. Stacks of it. Wrapped in bands packed tight. More money than I had ever seen, even in movies. My throat went dry. This wasn't shady business. This was a full-scale illegal money operation. And my boss, the man who said I was disposable, was knee-deep in it. He turned suddenly. For a moment I thought he'd spotted me. But he just signaled the trucks to load. I knew something now. These people didn't just destroy careers. They destroyed anyone who threatened them. Which meant I had just become their biggest threat. I left the warehouse as quietly as I arrived, but something inside me had changed. I wasn't scared anymore. I was focused. A plan was forming, slow but steady, like a puzzle snapping into place piece by piece. The next day at work, I acted normal. Invisible. Just the disposable employee they thought I was. It was almost funny how easily they ignored me now. While they laughed in the conference room, I printed out key files. While they bragged loudly about their investments, I saved audio recordings onto a hidden drive. Every secret they kept became a seed in the trap I was building. But I wasn't the only one watching. One afternoon, as I left the office early, a man sat on a motorcycle near the gate. He wore dark glasses, but his attention was locked on me. When I walked past him, he didn't speak. He just nodded, as if confirming something. And then he followed me. I changed direction 3 times. He stayed behind. My heart pounded, but I forced myself to stay calm. I entered a crowded market street and slipped between 2 stalls. When I came out on the other side, he was gone. But the message was clear. They were testing me, watching me, making sure I was as harmless as I pretended. I smiled to myself. They really had no idea. What I was planning required one mistake, and it wasn't going to be mine. I knew I needed help, but not from anyone close. Not someone they could threaten or buy. So I went to the only person I trusted with the impossible. My cousin Daniel. He worked in cybersecurity, the kind of genius who could hack a phone while eating breakfast. When I showed him the videos and files, he stared for a long moment. "Rebecca, this is serious. These people aren't just corrupt. They're dangerous." "I know," I said. "That's why I'm going to take them down." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Then you'll need protection. And a plan that doesn't get you killed." I leaned forward. "I have the pieces. I just need to make them fit." So we worked night after night. Daniel decrypted hidden folders. I mapped out dates, locations, names. The more we uncovered, the clearer it became. My boss wasn't working alone. There were politicians involved, bank officials, investors who pretended to be respectable. It was a web of money, greed, and lies, and I was standing right in the center. One night, after a long session, Daniel looked at me carefully. "You're not doing this just for justice." "No," I admitted. "I'm doing it because they broke something in me. And I'm not leaving it broken." He nodded slowly. "Then let's finish this." But as we planned, we didn't know something. Someone else was listening. And the first crack in our plan was about to appear. The crack in our plan appeared 3 days later. Daniel and I were going over the final batch of decrypted emails when his screen flickered. Once, twice, then went completely black. First, we thought it was a glitch. Then Daniel cursed under his breath. "They hit us with a traceback virus," he said. "Someone knows we're digging." My chest tightened. "Can they locate us?" "Only if we stay online." He ripped the Ethernet cable out so fast it sparked. "But this means they're alert. Someone on the inside noticed something." That terrified me more than the virus itself. We had been extremely careful. I used burner phones, encrypted drives, private browsers. Daniel's system was practically unbreakable. So how did they know? Unless someone had been watching me long before I ever suspected it. I felt the memory slam into me. The man on the motorcycle. The way he nodded. The way he followed. He hadn't been testing me. He'd been confirming that I was the leak. Daniel paced the room. "This doesn't mean they know who you are. Not yet. But we need to move faster. Once they feel a threat, they burn everything, including people." I swallowed hard. "Then we prepare. They think I'm disposable." Disposable things slip through cracks. I grabbed my notes, the files, everything we'd collected. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was survival. And the clock had just started ticking. The next morning the office felt different, like the walls knew. Like the air was heavier. People whispered in corners. Doors that were usually open were now shut. Even Mr. Callahan looked tense, though he tried to hide it behind his usual fake charm. Something was happening, and everyone sensed it. I took my usual seat, pretending to be clueless. Seconds later, Callahan stepped out of his office and scanned the room. His gaze landed on me. A slow smile crossed his face, the kind that didn't reach his eyes. "Rebecca," he said casually, "I'll need you in my office later. There are documents we need to review." Documents? That was code. I knew it. He knew I knew it. But I just nodded like an obedient employee. Inside, my pulse raced. As the day went on, small things kept happening that didn't feel random. A coworker who never spoke to me suddenly asked where I lived. Another one asked if I was working late. And someone kept walking behind my desk. Slowly, too slowly. Just enough to glance at my screen. They weren't suspicious. They were looking for confirmation. At 5:07 p.m., Callahan called me in. The blinds were half closed, the lights dim. On the table were 2 files. Neither of them labeled. "Do you know what loyalty means, Rebecca?" he asked softly. I didn't blink. "Of course, sir." "Good," he said. "Because soon, we'll need to make sure everyone here understands it." Something in his tone chilled me. I wasn't imagining it anymore. They were closing in. That night, I met Daniel at a cafe far from the city. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, fingers tapping anxiously on the table. "You were right," he said before I even Saturday. "Someone inside their network flagged you. The virus wasn't random. It targeted your identity." My stomach dropped. "So they know it's me." "Not completely," he said. "But they suspect you. And suspects don't survive long in their world." I exhaled shakily. "Then we need to take them down before they take me." He nodded and slid a flash drive across the table. "We only have one shot at this." I cracked the final layer. "These files show the accounts, the shipments, and the politicians involved. Enough to bury all of them." I stared at the flash drive. Small, ordinary, but powerful enough to destroy an empire. "What's the catch?" I asked. Daniel hesitated. "One of the names on the list is someone you know." Cold wave washed over me. "Who?" He didn't answer. He just pushed the drive closer. "Find out yourself. But whatever you do, don't confront them yet." As I reached for it, a shiver crept up my spine. 'Cause I felt it. Someone was watching us. Not from inside the cafe but through the glass window across the street. A figure standing perfectly still. Daniel didn't see them. But I did. And I knew. The hunters had found me. We left separately. Daniel on his bike, me on foot. The street was busy enough to blend into, but the figure who watched us earlier was gone. Or hiding. I tightened my grip on my bag. Inside it was the flash drive. The only evidence that could save me, and the only reason they might kill me. I walked quickly, blending with the crowd. No looking back. No hesitation. But halfway down the street, I heard footsteps speed up behind me. Not running, just matching my pace a little too perfectly. I turned into an alley, pretending to take a shortcut. The footsteps followed. My heart pounded, but I kept walking. At the end of the alley, a delivery truck blocked the exit. I turned sharply, only to see the man from the motorcycle stepping out of the shadows. "You should have stayed quiet, Rebecca," he said. I didn't recognize his voice, but he knew my name. That alone terrified me. I backed away slowly, searching for anything I could use as a weapon, a distraction. Anything. He smirked. "Don't bother. I'm not here to kill you." My breath caught. "Then why follow me?" "To warn you," he said. "They're not planning to confront you. They're planning to erase you." "Why tell me?" His jaw tightened. "Because you're not the only one they used. And I want to see them fall." For a moment, silence filled the alley. "Run," he whispered. "Before they decide you're too dangerous to keep alive." I didn't need to hear it twice. Ran. And the war officially began. I didn't go home. I couldn't. Home was the first place they'd look. Instead, I caught a late bus out of the city, sitting in the very back, hood pulled low, eyes scanning every passenger who got on. When the bus finally rolled out, I allowed myself to breathe. Just a little. The flash drive felt like a burning coal in my pocket. I opened it on my laptop only after I was sure no one was watching. The files were deeper than I expected. Transaction logs, voice recordings, photos. And then I found the folder Daniel warned me about. Internal partners. My hand shook as I opened it. The first names made sense. Politicians, wealthy business owners, bankers. But then I saw the name that nearly stopped my heart. Evelyn Hart. My mentor. My supporter. The only person at the company who had ever defended me. She was part of it. My lungs tightened, my throat closing. I couldn't believe it. Evelyn, the woman who taught me everything, the woman who treated me like a sister, was one of them. No worse. She was a leader among them. A notification suddenly popped up on my screen. Unknown requesting remote access. My blood ran cold. They found me. I snapped the laptop shut, grabbed my things and rushed to the bus driver. Next stop. Please let me off. He frowned but nodded. As the doors opened and I stepped into the darkness of a small, quiet town, I realized something terrifying. I was alone. And the most dangerous person in my life was someone I once trusted. The town was small. Quiet streets, dim lamp posts, and houses that looked half asleep. Perfect for hiding. I walked fast but tried not to look like I was running from my own shadow. Every sound felt sharper here. Every passing car felt like a threat. I ducked into a cheap roadside lodge. The receptionist barely glanced at me, which was exactly what I needed. I paid cash. No names, no questions, and locked myself in a room that smelled faintly of old paint. Only then did I open my laptop again. I needed to understand Evelyn's role. I needed to see if this betrayal was real or a misunderstanding. But the deeper I searched, the worse it got. She wasn't just involved. She was running whole sections of the operation, including the shipments at the warehouse. Her signature was on several encrypted transfers. She even communicated directly with the motorcycle man. He reported to her. Bile rose in my throat. All this time, she'd acted like she believed in me, complimented my work, encouraged me. Sometimes she even defended me in meetings. It had all been an act. Or maybe, a strategy. I replayed every moment with her, and realized something chilling. She had always kept me close. Always asked what I was working on. Always pushed me to stay loyal. Evelyn hadn't protected me. She had groomed me. For what I didn't know yet. But suddenly the virus attack made sense. The surveillance. Callahan's sudden interest. They weren't hunting an employee. They were hunting their creation. And I had finally broken free. Sleep wasn't an option. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Evelyn's name glowing on the screen, mocking me. Betrayal hurts in a way bullets don't. It stays inside you, poisoning everything. But emotions wouldn't save me. Strategy would. I pulled out the flash drive. There was one folder I hadn't opened yet. Primary ledger. Daniel said it contained the root of everything, the file that proved the whole operation existed. When I opened it, I froze. This wasn't a simple ledger. It was a complete network map. Names, roles, locations, communication lines, and even emergency routes if something went wrong. And right in the center, marked in red, Candidate R13. It took me 30 seconds to realize what the R stood for. Rebecca. Me. They had been tracking me long before I ever discovered anything. The notes beside my codename made my stomach twist. Shows potential. Easily motivated. High stress tolerance. Consider for courier leadership. Observe for loyalty fractures. My hands went cold. They weren't planning to fire me. They were planning to recruit me, forcefully or manipulatively, into their inner circle. My hard work wasn't overlooked. It was monitored, structured, directed. I wasn't disposable. I was useful. And that was worse. Because useful things are controlled. I wanted to scream, but I forced myself to breathe. If they planned to use me, then I had an advantage because they had no idea how much I knew now. Their plan for me was written out. Mine for them was still forming. And mine would hurt more. Morning sunlight seeped through the curtains, But I didn't feel safe. Not even for a second. Checked the window twice. Listened through the door 3 times. Only when I was sure no one was outside did I power on my laptop again. I needed to contact Daniel. But the moment I opened my messaging app, a single new text popped up from an unknown number. Don't contact him. They got to him first. My heart stopped. Whoa. No. I immediately tried calling him. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Still nothing. A cold shiver crawled slowly up my spine. Was he hurt? Taken? Watching the flash drive felt like holding a bomb that had already ruined someone I cared about. My phone buzzed again. If you want him alive, come home. Alone. Tonight. 11 p.m. The city. The place I'd run from. They wanted me back. And the worst part. This message didn't come from Callahan. Or the motorcycle man. Came from Evelyn. Her writing style was unmistakable. Calm, polite, almost caring. As if kidnapping someone was an invitation to tea. I sat on the bed, shaking. I didn't have proof she hurt him. I didn't have proof he was alive. But I couldn't risk ignoring it. I stared at the flash drive. It was powerful enough to destroy her. But going back might destroy me. I wasn't running anymore. If Evelyn wanted to see me, fine. But she would regret it. More than she ever regretted anything in her life. I returned to the city hours before the meeting. I stayed in the crowds, blending into the noise, watching every reflection in every store window. They wanted me alone, but alone didn't mean unprepared. I memorized every exit route near my apartment, every alley, every rooftop someone could hide on. I studied passing cars. I counted unfamiliar faces. I trained my fear into focus. At 10:53 p.m., I approached my apartment building. The street was quiet, too quiet. Even the usual bakery lights were off. I didn't go through the front door. Instead, I climbed the fire escape. From the 5th-floor landing, I could see into my living room window. Evelyn sat on my sofa like she owned the place. Elegant, calm, legs crossed neatly. A cup of tea steamed on my table. Daniel was there too. Alive. But tied to a chair, bruised, head bowed. Relief and fury collided inside me. My hands clenched the metal railing until my knuckles turned white. Evelyn lifted her head slightly, as if sensing me. Then she smiled. Slow, chilling smile. She wasn't guessing. She knew exactly where I was standing. She stood up and walked toward the window. Her eyes locked onto mine through the glass. "Come in, Rebecca," she mouthed silently. "Let's talk." I couldn't breathe. This wasn't a trap. It was something worse. It was personal. I entered the apartment through the front door. Not because she ordered it, but because I refused to look afraid. The door creaked slightly, echoing through the silent room. Evelyn turned toward me with a softness that twisted my stomach. "Rebecca," she said warmly. "You look tired." I ignored the greeting and ran to Daniel. His eyes lifted weakly. "I'm okay," he whispered. "Don't do anything stupid." "Too late for that." Faced Evelyn. "What do you want?" She picked up her teacup delicately. "To explain." "Explain what?" "That you're a criminal. That you've been using me." "No," she said, setting the cup down. "To explain that I chose you. You were my investment." The word made me sick. "I don't belong to you," I snapped. She smiled gently. "No, but you could belong with us. You were perfect, Rebecca. Smart. Loyal. Invisible. People like you are priceless." I flinched at the word. She noticed. "Ah," she said softly. "So you heard Callahan call you disposable." My blood ran cold. "How did you?" "He said it because I told him to," Evelyn interrupted. "I needed to see how you'd react. Whether you would crumble or evolve." She stepped closer. "And you evolved beautifully." I stepped back, shaking with anger. "You kidnapped my cousin to manipulate me." "No," she said. "I brought him here as motivation." "Let him go," I demanded. "I will," she said. "But only if you give me the flash drive." Froze. She knew. She always knew. But she didn't know one thing. I wasn't giving her anything. Not anymore. For a moment the room felt frozen. Evelyn standing calmly, Daniel tied and injured, and me gripping the flash drive hidden inside my sleeve. My heartbeat thudded so loudly I wondered if she could hear it. "You're running out of time, Rebecca," she said softly. "Callahan thinks you're a threat. The others want you gone. I'm the only one giving you a chance." I shook my head. "You don't get to pretend this is kindness." "It is," she replied. "I'm offering you a place in something greater than a desk job. Influence, protection, power. Everything you've ever been denied." I almost laughed. "You think I want to join you?" "I think," she said, stepping closer, "you want justice. Real justice. Not the kind printed on government posters. The kind you control." Her voice was smooth, almost hypnotic. And for a second I understood why so many followed her. But my anger cut through it like a blade. "You lied to me," I whispered. "You watched me struggle, and you used me." "I shaped you," she corrected. I clenched my fists. "You shaped your own destruction." Her eyes narrowed. "So that's your choice?" "Yes," I said. "I'm taking you all down." For the first time, her calm expression cracked. Not fear, annoyance, maybe even disappointment. She signaled the motorcycle man, who stepped from behind the door. "Take the drive," she ordered quietly. "And bring her to Callahan." Daniel gasped. I didn't move. Because I wasn't staying long enough to be taken. Not this time. The motorcycle man reached for me, but I dashed to the side, flipping the small table onto him. It wasn't heavy, but it bought me 2 seconds, just enough to grab Daniel's chair and drag it backward. "Run," he shouted. "I'm not leaving you." But Evelyn was faster than I expected. She grabbed a remote on the shelf and pressed a button. Instantly the door locks clicked loudly. No escape. The motorcycle man pushed the table aside and lunged. I grabbed the lamp and swung it hard. It wasn't a powerful hit, but it stunned him long enough for me to pull the flash drive from my sleeve. Evelyn's eyes widened. "Rebecca, don't. Don't." Snap. "You kidnapped my cousin, lied for years, used me like a tool. And you want me to play nice?" Her expression darkened. "If you expose that drive, we all go down. Including you." I met her gaze evenly. "Then let's fall together." I sprinted toward the balcony. Evelyn yelled something, but I didn't hear it. I crashed through the sliding door, shards scattering across the floor. The cold night wind slapped my face. 5 floors up. No time to think. The motorcycle man appeared behind me. So I jumped. The metal fire escape broke part of the fall. I hit it hard, pain shooting through my side, but I was alive. I scrambled down the ladder and hit the alley running. Behind me, Evelyn shouted orders. But I didn't look back. I was done being prey. Now I was the threat. I ran for almost 20 minutes before my legs gave out. I stumbled into an empty parking lot behind an old supermarket and hid between 2 delivery trucks, gasping for air. Daniel was still in their hands. And now Evelyn knew exactly what I had. I pulled out my phone to call the police, then stopped. No law enforcement would believe me. The files were too big, too complicated. Worse, half the people on the list probably controlled the people I turned to for help. I needed someone outside their reach. Someone they couldn't corrupt. Then I remembered something Daniel once told me. There's a journalist who hates corruption more than he loves breathing. His name was Marcus Hale, an investigative reporter who had exposed a major money laundering ring 3 years ago. If anyone could help me without being bought, it was him. I used a secure link Daniel programmed and sent Marcus a single message. "I have evidence bigger than Silverline. Need safe meeting tonight. Urgent." 10 seconds later he replied. "Name the place." I gave him a location far from the city, a closed-down train station. Neutral ground. Hard to ambush. Easy to escape. I tucked the flash drive deeper into my pocket. Evelyn wanted me cornered. Callahan wanted me erased. But they didn't know I still had allies. And I wasn't fighting to survive anymore. I was fighting to win. The old train station sat alone on a hill, its iron beams rusted, its windows cracked from years of neglect. Perfect for a secret meeting. The air was cold enough to sting, and every distant sound echoed like footsteps. Marcus arrived exactly on time, a tall man in a worn jacket, camera bag slung over his shoulder. His eyes scanned the area before he approached. "You're Rebecca?" he asked quietly. "Yes. You look like someone running from more than a problem." "I am." I handed him the flash drive. He slipped it into a secure pocket and nodded once. "What's on it?" he asked. "Everything," I said. "Names, accounts, operations, political ties. It's bigger than anything you've covered." He studied me carefully. "And why bring it to me?" "Because you're too stubborn to be bought." He let out a breath that might have been a laugh. "Fair enough." Before we could continue, a faint metallic click echoed behind us. Marcus froze. Turned. The motorcycle man stood near the doorway, a calm shadow among ruins. "You're becoming predictable, Rebecca," he said. "It makes my job easier." Marcus stepped slightly in front of me. "You followed her." "I follow orders," the man replied. "And she wants the drive." "Well," Marcus said, "she's not getting it." The motorcycle man took a step forward. Then another. My pulse spiked. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a warning. Final chance to surrender. But I had made my choice hours ago. I wasn't surrendering. Not now. Not ever. Marcus reacted first. With a sharp motion, he tossed a flare from his bag onto the ground. It burst into bright red light, flooding the station with smoke and color. The motorcycle man shielded his eyes. Only for a second, but it was enough. "Go!" Marcus shouted. We sprinted through the haze, weaving between abandoned benches and broken pillars. The air filled with shouts behind us. More footsteps, more figures entering the station. Not just the motorcycle man. Callahan's men. They were everywhere. "Left!" Marcus yelled. We ducked through a collapsed doorway, sliding down a slanted concrete ramp that led to an old maintenance tunnel. The darkness swallowed us, but at least the footsteps above faded. Now, we kept running until we reached a dead end. Rusted pipes, old lockers, and a ladder leading upward. Marcus turned to me, panting. "They won't stop. Whatever's on that drive. They're terrified of it. That's why they can't have it." He nodded. "There's a broadcast studio I trust. If I can get this uploaded, the whole operation is finished." "But we have to get you there alive," I said. His jaw tightened. "Then we move smart." I climbed the ladder first, pushing open a metal grate that led into an alley behind the station. The sky was darker now, clouds rolling in like bruises. Marcus climbed up after me. But before he stepped out, he paused. "Rebecca, you realize they'll come after you harder once this goes public." "I know. And you're still willing." I looked toward the city, toward Evelyn. "I'm done being their creation." Then I stepped into the night. And the final act began. We moved fast, cutting through the alleys like shadows. Every passing car made my heart slam against my ribs. Every echo felt like footsteps. If Callahan's men caught us, the drive would never see daylight, and Daniel might never survive. Marcus kept checking behind us, his breath sharp but steady. "Studio's 15 minutes away," he whispered. "We just need one clean shot." But clean shots don't exist when enemies hide in every corner. As we crossed a narrow bridge, I spotted a familiar figure standing on the other side. The motorcycle man, waiting silently, like he'd been carved into the night. Marcus grabbed my arm. "Back. We'll go around." Too late. Two more men stepped out behind us, blocking the way. Trap. The motorcycle man walked forward slowly. "Rebecca, you're making this harder than it needs to be." "Let Daniel go," I said, my voice trembling with anger. He tilted his head, still thinking emotionally. "That's why Evelyn wanted to train you." "She failed," I snapped. He stopped a meter away. "Give me the drive." "Look away." We'll let your cousin live. Marcus stiffened beside me. Don't believe him. I didn't. Because the motorcycle man's eyes weren't threatening. They were resigned, like someone following orders he no longer believed in. Move, he said softly. For a second no one moved. Then a blinding flash exploded on the bridge. Marcus had triggered another flare from his bag. Chaos erupted. Men shouted. Shadows twisted. I grabbed Marcus, and we ran into the darkness again. We bought seconds, but we needed minutes, or their entire empire would survive. When we finally reached the rooftop of an old shopping center, our lungs were burning. The city lights stretched below us, bright, beautiful, and oblivious to the war happening in its shadows. Marcus crouched behind a vent and pulled out a small transmitter. I can upload from here, he said. Signal's just strong enough. I nodded and kept watch at the roof's edge. But something inside me twisted. If we sent the files now, we exposed everyone involved, including Evelyn. And if she fell, Daniel would no longer be bargaining material. She might order him eliminated instantly. The thought stabbed through my chest. Marcus, I said slowly, if she realizes she's going down, she'll kill my cousin. He paused. Then we need proof he's alive right now. Proof. My phone buzzed. My breath froze. A video message. From Evelyn. Press play. Daniel sat tied to the chair. But breathing. Wait. Terrified. Evelyn's voice narrated calmly over the video. Rebecca, my dear. Return the drive. Or your cousin disappears. You have 1 hour. Marcus cursed under his breath. She's desperate. No, I whispered. She's confident. Because this wasn't a threat. It was a countdown. My mind raced. If we uploaded now, Daniel might die. If we delayed, they'd find us. Unless I used the one advantage Evelyn didn't realize I had. She still thought she understood me. Marcus, I said, tightening my grip on the rooftop rail. You'll upload the files. But not yet. He frowned. Then what's the plan? I looked at the city. At 59 minutes. I go to her. And I end this myself. Exactly 59 minutes later, I stood outside the abandoned corporate building Evelyn used as her private headquarters. It looked cold, silent, almost elegant. A perfect lair for someone who hid her cruelty behind polished hair and perfect shoes. Marcus stayed hidden 2 blocks away, ready to upload the files the moment I signaled. I walked in through the unlocked front door. No guards, no noise, just emptiness. Evelyn wanted me to come willingly. But I walked into the central office and saw Daniel first, still tied but alive. His eyes widened when he saw me. Rebecca, no. It's a trap. I know, I whispered. Then she stepped out from behind the glass wall. Evelyn. Perfect posture. Calm expression. No fear at all. You made good time, she said warmly. I knew you would. Faced her. Let him go. In due time. She studied me the way a scientist studies a specimen. Where's the flash drive? Safe. She smiled. You're predictable, Rebecca. That's what made you valuable. I'm not valuable to you anymore. No, she agreed. You're a liability. Then she gestured toward Daniel. But you can still save him if you give me the drive right now. I stepped closer. Release him first. Her smile faded. No negotiations. I lifted my chin. Then you won't get the drive. A dangerous silence filled the room. Evelyn sighed softly. I hoped you'd choose wisely. She snapped her fingers. The motorcycle man emerged from the shadows behind me. But this time, something in his eyes was different. He stepped forward slowly, but his posture wasn't threatening. His jaw was clenched. His hands didn't reach for a weapon. Something inside him had shifted. Evelyn noticed too. Is there a problem? She asked sharply. The man didn't answer. His eyes locked onto mine, cold, conflicted, and I knew. He wasn't loyal to her anymore. He had seen enough. I told you they would erase her, he said quietly. Just like they erased the others. Evelyn stiffened. That information was classified. He ignored her. She thinks she chooses who lives and dies, he said to me. But she's wrong. Enough, Evelyn snapped. When he didn't move, she reached into her coat. Gun. Daniel gasped. Rebecca, get down. Everything exploded at once. Evelyn aimed, not at me but at the motorcycle man. He lunged. The shot fired, missing by inches. I shoved a chair into Evelyn's arm, knocking her aim off. She stumbled. The gun clattered across the floor. The motorcycle man rushed to grab it. But I was faster. I kicked it toward Daniel's chair, out of everyone's reach. Evelyn screamed, "You traitor!" and charged at me with fury I'd never seen in her before. Wild, desperate, losing control for the first time. I dodged, grabbed her wrist, twisted. She slammed me into the glass wall. Pain shot through my spine. But I held on. "Rebecca!" Daniel shouted. Evelyn clawed at my arm. Her perfect composure shattered. "You were mine," she hissed. "No," I said, pushing back with everything I had. "I was your mistake." Behind us, the motorcycle man cut Daniel free. Evelyn froze as she saw. Her empire was collapsing. Right in front of her. The moment Daniel's ropes fell away, everything moved in fast, sharp fragments, shouts, footsteps, the crash of glass under Evelyn's heels as she backed toward the center of the room. "You don't understand," she breathed, her voice cracking for the first time. "If I fall, they all come after you. The others. The ones above me. This doesn't end with me." "Good," I said. "Then let them come. I'll expose them too." Her eyes widened, not with fear but with disbelief. "You think you can survive this world? You're nobody." I stepped closer. "You should have remembered that nobodies are invisible. And invisible people destroy you from the shadows." She lunged again but I sidestepped. The motorcycle man grabbed her arms, pinning her. She struggled, screaming threats, promises, bargains. None of it mattered. My phone buzzed. "Marcus. Signal received. Uploading now." Evelyn froze. No, you didn't." He nodded. "It's over." In the distance, sirens began to wail. Dozens of them. Marcus had triggered an anonymous alert to authorities with the files. National. International. Every agency that cared about corruption. Evelyn's face crumpled. Not in fear of prison, but in fear of losing power. "You think this gives you justice," she spat. "You think this makes you safe?" "No," I said. "It makes me free." Police stormed the building moments later. Callahan, politicians, investors, everyone involved, would be arrested within hours. Their empire had fallen. Daniel hugged me tightly. "You did it." I looked at the flashing lights outside. "No," I whispered. "We did it." And for the first time in years, I didn't feel disposable. I felt unstoppable.